My son said he was ashamed I was just a maid until his CEO boss fired him for disrespecting me. Y'all about to witness what happens when a lifetime of disrespect finally gets addressed. Make sure you subscribe and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. I've been waking up at 4:30 every morning for the past 28 years. Before the sun even thinks about rising, before the streets of Harlem start to breathe, my feet hit that cold floor. Today ain't no different. The alarm clock buzzes and my hand finds it in the dark, muscle memory from decades of the same routine. Another day, another dollar, I whisper to myself. My Mama Esther's words still living in my mouth after all these years. My one-bedroom apartment is small, but mine. Paid for with every floor I've scrubbed, every toilet I've cleaned, every window I've polished to a shine. I slide my feet into my worn slippers and shuffle to the bathroom, avoiding the creaky floorboard so I don't wake Mrs. Jenkins next door. These walls thin as paper. In the mirror, Eleanor Washington, 58 years old, stares back at me, gray starting to claim territory in my tight coils, lines mapping journeys around my eyes. I touch the reflection, remembering the young woman who once had dreams of running her own business, before life had other plans. As I put on my uniform, navy blue with Horizon Cleaning Services stitched across the pocket, my eyes drift to the photographs on my dresser. One of Mama Esther, gone 12 years now, smiling in her Sunday best. Next to it, my pride and joy, Marcus in his high school graduation cap and gown, grinning like he owned the world, and maybe he would someday. My son, the reason for every sacrifice, the purpose behind every extra shift, the child I raised alone after his daddy decided fatherhood wasn't his calling when Marcus was just 3 years old. I open my bedside drawer and touch the old, worn folder hidden beneath my scarves, my business plan from college, before I had to drop out when I got pregnant with Marcus. Dignity Cleaning Services, it reads in faded ink. A company where cleaners would be treated with respect, paid fair wages, given benefits. I allow myself one moment with this dream before tucking it away again. The bus is nearly empty this early. I nod at the driver, same one I've had for years now. "Morning, Miss Eleanor," he says. "Cold one today." "Sure is, Reggie. How's your mama doing?" Small talk carries me through the quiet ride to downtown Manhattan, where the Horizon Enterprises building towers over everything, all glass and steel reaching to the sky. I badge in through the service entrance, grab my cart, and start my rounds before the executives arrive. Mr. Thompson's office is always my first stop. Richard Thompson, the CEO, one of the few black men at his level in the tech world. Unlike some of the others, he sees me, actually says my name. I'm carefully organizing his desk when the door opens. "Good morning, Eleanor." His deep voice fills the room. "You're early as always." "Morning, Mr. Thompson," I say, standing straighter. "Just finishing up here. How's that son of yours doing? The MBA student?" "Right?" My chest swells with pride. "Yes, sir. Marcus is doing real good. Top of his class at Columbia." "That's excellent. You must be very proud." "I am," I say, my voice catching just a little. What I don't tell him is how Marcus asked me last week to stop coming to his campus events, how he introduced me as his aunt to his classmates at the last function, how he said, "Mom, couldn't you at least dress less, like you clean for a living?" "Would you like some coffee, Mr. Thompson?" I ask, pushing those thoughts away. "I would, thank you." "And Eleanor, you raised a fine young man. I'd like to meet him someday." I smile and nod, but inside my heart clenches. If only Richard Thompson knew how my own son was becoming ashamed of the very work that put him through school. If only he knew how much it hurt to be slowly erased from Marcus's new life. When I told Marcus that Richard Thompson wanted to meet him, you'd think I'd handed him a winning lottery ticket. My boy nearly jumped through the phone. "The Richard Thompson, CEO of Horizon? Mama, are you serious?" His voice went up an octave like when he was a little boy getting his first bike. "Yes, baby. He says to bring your resume by his office tomorrow at 4. "How did this happen? Did you ask him?" "Mama, please tell me you didn't beg your boss for an interview for me." His excitement was already shading into worry about how this opportunity came about. "I didn't beg nobody for nothing," I said, my back stiffening. "Mr. Thompson asked about you because I mentioned your MBA program, that's all." 2 days later, I'm pushing my cart past the conference room when I see them through the glass, my son sitting across from Richard Thompson, both men in crisp suits, talking animatedly. Marcus looks so handsome, so professional in his navy suit and striped tie, the one I helped him pick out but that he paid for himself. Pride floods through me, warm and thick as honey. Marcus spots me through the glass. Our eyes meet, and for a split second, I see something flicker across his face. Discomfort, maybe even embarrassment. He quickly looks away, focusing intently on whatever Richard is saying. My hands tighten on the handle of my cart, knuckles turning white. That evening, Marcus calls, his voice breathless with excitement. "Mama, I got it! A paid internship in digital marketing. Mr. Thompson said they rarely offer positions to students still in school, but he was impressed with my portfolio. That's wonderful, baby. I'm so proud of you. The benefits are amazing, too. Full health insurance, 401k matching, even a transportation stipend." He rattles off details about the position, the team he'll be working with, the projects he might tackle. Then his voice drops lower. "Listen, Mama, there's something we need to talk about." My stomach tightens. I know that tone. "What is it, Marcus?" I think it would be better if people at Horizon don't know we're related." The silence stretches between us, heavy and painful. "You mean, don't tell people I'm your mother," I say flatly. "It's not like that," he rushes to explain. "It's just, I want to be taken seriously. I want them to think I got this position on my own merits, not because my mother works there and talked to the CEO. But that is how it happened, Marcus." My voice is quiet but firm. "I know, but..." He sighs. "Look, I've worked hard for this, Mama. My grades, my projects, everything. I deserve this opportunity. I just don't want anyone thinking I got special treatment." I close my eyes, swallowing the hurt. "So what am I supposed to do when I see you in the hallways? Pretend I don't know you? We can just be professional. You know, like cordial, like you are with everyone else." I think about what everyone else looks like, how the executives barely glance at me, how some don't even bother to learn my name after years of me cleaning their offices. "If that's what you want," I finally say, because what else can I say? This boy is my heart walking around outside my body. His success has been my life's purpose. "Thanks, Mama. You're the best." Relief floods his voice. "I promise, once I'm established there, things will be different." I hang up and sit on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall. In the quiet of my apartment, I let one tear fall, then another, just two. Then I wipe my face, straighten my spine, and reach for my folder of dreams. Tonight, I'll allow myself to look at it a little longer than usual. 6 months fly by, and Marcus blooms at Horizon like a flower, finally finding sunlight. My boy walks taller, talks with more confidence, even dresses sharper. Designer shoes now. Fancy watches I pretend not to notice cost more than my monthly rent. His internship turns into a junior marketing position with his own cubicle on the 17th floor. Sometimes I clean that floor after hours, running my fingers lightly over the nameplate on his desk when nobody's watching. Marcus Washington, marketing associate. But we might as well be strangers when our paths cross at Horizon. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Washington," he'll say with a polite nod if others are around, his eyes sliding past mine like I'm just another fixture in the building. If we're alone, sometimes he'll squeeze my hand quickly or whisper, "You good, Mama?" before hurrying away. Each time it happens, something inside me rebels. This ain't right. This ain't how I raised him. Each night, I wrestle with whether to confront him or keep playing along. The Eleanor who dropped out of college to raise her son alone wouldn't have stood for this disrespect. But the Eleanor who scrubbed floors for decades to give that son opportunities she never had, she swallows the pain and keeps quiet. "You miss your boy," my friend Darlene says one day as we're cleaning the executive bathrooms together. Darlene's been at Horizon almost as long as me, knows all my business. "He's busy," I say, scrubbing harder at a sink stain that won't budge. "Building his career. Too busy to come by for Sunday dinner? Too busy to call his mama more than once a week?" Darlene gives me that look, the one that says she sees right through me. "It's complicated," I mutter, though it shouldn't be. Nothing complicated about respecting the woman who raised you. Each time I bend to his wishes, a voice in my head, sounding suspiciously like Mama Esther, asks, "Girl, what are you teaching that boy? That it's okay to be ashamed of honest work? That it's okay to deny his own mother?" Later that night, I'm nearly done with my shift when I hear voices coming from the break room on the executive floor, a floor that should be empty this late. Curious, I peek in and see Richard Thompson sitting with 3 other executives, papers spread across the table. Coffee cups and takeout containers everywhere. Richard spots me. "Eleanor, just who we need. We've been here since morning and this place is a mess." I step in with my cart, start gathering their trash. No, Richard says, standing. "I meant we need your brain, not your cleaning skills." I freeze, confused. "We're stuck on this community outreach initiative," he explains. "We want to create programs that actually help people in underserved neighborhoods, not just look good in press releases. You live in Harlem, right? What do you think would make a real difference?" The other executives look at me expectantly. One of them, a white woman with sleek blonde hair, pulls out a chair for me. "Please," she says, "we'd value your input." My heart hammers in my chest. I set down my trash bag and tentatively sit, smoothing my uniform. "Well," I begin slowly, finding my voice. "Transportation is a big one. Folks can't take jobs if they can't get there reliably." They listen, really listen. For 20 minutes, I talk about childcare deserts, food accessibility, skills training programs that teach outdated skills. I tell them about my neighbor's son who got certified in computer repair but can't find work because the technology moved on before he even finished the program. When I finish, Richard is nodding thoughtfully. "This is exactly the perspective we've been missing," he says. "Eleanor, would you consider joining our community advisory board? It meets once a month, and members receive a stipend for their time." I'm so stunned I can barely respond. I'd be honored, Mr. Thompson. That night, I make a decision. I will tell Marcus about this opportunity, and I will no longer hide in the shadows of his shame. It's time for both of us to stand in our truth, whatever that might cost. "I found the perfect place, Mama," Marcus says over the phone, excitement bubbling in his voice. 2 bedrooms, doorman building, rooftop access. You gotta come see it. I've been cleaning the same corporate apartments for 20 years, so I know exactly what these luxury buildings cost. "Sounds expensive, baby. You sure you can afford that on your new salary?" "I got a roommate lined up, Jason from work. Plus Horizon pays well, and there's a signing bonus coming." He pauses. "Anyway, I need a place that matches my position now. Can't have clients or colleagues coming over to some rundown spot." The words sting. This rundown spot is where I raised him, where I kissed his scraped knees and helped with homework at our kitchen table. But I swallow the hurt. "When's the housewarming?" 2 weeks later, I'm standing in my son's new apartment, clutching a houseplant I bought as a gift. The place gleams with stainless steel and floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Manhattan views. Nothing here says Marcus, no photos, no books, none of the sports memorabilia he collected growing up. It looks like a furniture showroom, all sharp angles and empty spaces. Marcus gives me a tour that ends in the kitchen, where his roommate Jason and 2 other young men from Horizon are drinking beer and laughing. "Guys, this is Mrs. Washington," Marcus says, the slight hesitation piercing my heart. They nod politely, barely looking at me before returning to their conversation about some marketing campaign. I notice a red wine stain on the white countertop and instinctively reach for a dish towel. "If you mix a little baking soda with vinegar, that'll come right out," I say, years of cleaning expertise kicking in. Marcus's face tightens. "Let's not worry about cleaning tonight, Mama," he says quietly, taking the towel from my hand. "Jason will get the super to handle it tomorrow." I step back, embarrassed. "Of course." Later, as Marcus walks me to the door, he says, "Next time we should meet at that cafe you like in your neighborhood. More convenient for you." Translation: "Don't come here again." The following week at Horizon, I'm pushing my cart past the marketing department when I overhear raised voices from behind a partially closed door. "That attitude doesn't work here, Washington." It's Tamara Johnson, the marketing director, her voice sharp with frustration. "The maintenance team isn't your personal service staff. They deserve the same respect as everyone else. I just asked him to prioritize fixing our printer," Marcus responds, defensive. "We have a campaign deadline." "It's not what you asked, it's how you asked," Tamara says firmly. "This is your second complaint about how you speak to support staff. At Horizon, we value every team member equally. One more incident like this, and we'll need to have a formal discussion with HR." I wheel my cart away quickly before either of them emerges, my cheeks burning with shame. What happened to my sweet boy who used to thank the bus drivers and help elderly neighbors with their groceries? That night, I pull out an old photo album and flip through pictures of Marcus growing up. Halloween costumes I sewed by hand, birthday cakes I baked after midnight shifts, his basketball games I never missed despite working double shifts. I trace his smiling face with my finger, wondering where that child went. My phone rings. It's Richard Thompson. Eleanor, I hope I'm not calling too late. Not at all, Mr. Thompson. I wanted to discuss something with you privately. He pauses. It's about Marcus. My stomach drops. Is everything okay? He's extremely talented, Richard says carefully. But we've had some concerns about his interactions with support staff. Nothing formal yet, but he sighs. I remember how you spoke about him with such pride. I wonder if perhaps he could benefit from some maternal guidance. I close my eyes, mortification washing over me. I understand. Thank you for letting me know. After we hang up, I sit in the dark of my living room, the photo album still open on my lap. My son is building a life where I don't belong, becoming someone I don't recognize. And for the first time, I wonder if all my sacrifices were leading us here, to a place where he's ashamed of the very work that gave him his opportunities. The annual Horizon Enterprises Awards Gala invitation sits on my kitchen table. Every year they invite all employees, even the cleaning staff, to this fancy event at the Marriott Marquis. Every year I find an excuse not to go, but this time something in me has shifted. You coming to the gala this year? Darlene asks as we clock out together. I think I am, I reply, surprising even myself. Darlene raises her eyebrows. Well, what's the occasion? I don't say what I'm thinking, that maybe it's time my son remembers who his mother is and that she is worthy of being seen. I spend 2 weeks cleaning money on a simple but elegant navy blue dress with a beaded neckline from the clearance rack at Macy's. The night of the gala, I twist my locks into an updo, apply mascara and lipstick with a careful hand, and fasten my mother's pearl earrings, the only valuable thing she left me besides her Bible. When I step into the hotel ballroom, the space glitters with chandeliers and fine table settings. Executives mingle with mid-level managers, everyone in their finest clothes, glasses of champagne in hand. I spot Marcus across the room, looking handsome in a tailored suit, laughing with a group of young marketing people. For a moment, I hesitate. Maybe I should leave before he sees me. But then Richard Thompson steps onto the stage, tapping the microphone. Welcome, everyone, to our annual celebration of excellence, he begins. Before we announce this year's awards, I want to acknowledge something we don't do often enough. Horizon's success depends on every single person who works here, from our executive team to our maintenance staff, security personnel, and cleaning team. He gestures toward where I stand, with a few other cleaners near the back of the room. These dedicated individuals, who many of you may pass in the hallways without noticing, are the backbone of our daily operations. Would our facilities and support teams please stand so we can express our appreciation? Darlene nudges me. Slowly, I rise to my feet, along with about 20 others scattered throughout the room. Applause fills the ballroom. As people turn to look at us, I search for Marcus. Our eyes meet across the tables. His smile freezes, then falters as he realizes I'm being recognized. He glances around nervously, then joins the applause, his eyes now fixed on his plate. Later, during the reception, I gather my courage and approach the group where Marcus stands with 3 other young executives. I'm about to call his name when one of them notices me. Can we help you? Asks a young woman with straight brown hair. Not unkindly. Before I can answer, Marcus turns. His eyes widen slightly. Mrs. Washington, he says formally, his voice tight. Good evening. You two know each other? Asks one of his colleagues, looking between us. Marcus hesitates, just a heartbeat too long. Yes, Mrs. Washington is one of our, longtime employees. She cleans the executive floor. The way he says it, like I'm just another fixture in the building, a function rather than a person, makes something crack inside me. The young executives murmur polite hellos, their eyes already sliding past me to more important people in the room. Actually, I say, my voice steadier than I feel, I'm also, Eleanor? Richard Thompson's voice booms behind me. He approaches with a warm smile, placing a gentle hand on my shoulder. I'm so glad you could make it tonight. You look lovely. Thank you, Mr. Thompson, I manage. I see you've found Marcus, he continues, looking between us with a slight furrow in his brow. I didn't realize you two had already met. The silence stretches, taut and uncomfortable. Marcus shifts his weight, his eyes darting between Richard and me. We know each other quite well. I finally say, meeting my son's gaze directly. Don't we? Marcus? Before he can answer, Richard's assistant approaches, saying he's needed for photos. He excuses himself, leaving us in a bubble of awkward silence. I should go, I say quietly to Marcus. Enjoy your evening. As I turn to leave, I hear one of his colleagues ask, "So how do you know the cleaning lady?" And my son's response, spoken just loud enough for me to catch. "She's just someone who's worked here forever. Cleans my office sometimes." Each word is a knife. I keep walking, back straight, head high, even as tears blur my vision. I don't stop until I'm outside in the cool night air, the sounds of the gala fading behind me. Standing alone on the sidewalk, I make a decision. No more hiding, no more shrinking. Tomorrow, things will change. The morning after the gala, I call in sick for the first time in 5 years. Instead of reporting to Horizon, I ride the subway to Marcus's fancy apartment building. The doorman gives me a suspicious once-over until I explain I'm there to see my son. "Your name, ma'am?" "Eleanor Washington." "I'm Marcus Washington's mother." His eyebrows lift slightly, but he calls up. Minutes later, Marcus appears in the lobby in sweatpants and a t-shirt, hair disheveled, eyes wide with confusion. "Mama, what are you doing here? Is everything okay?" "We need to talk," I say simply. Somewhere private. Up in his apartment, Marcus paces the living room while I sit calmly on his pristine white couch, my pocketbook in my lap, back straight like Mama taught me. "Last night," I begin, "you pretended not to know me." "I didn't." "Don't." I raise my hand. "Don't lie to me on top of everything else. You called me the cleaning lady after I walked away. Did you think I wouldn't hear?" He has the decency to look ashamed, dropping onto the couch across from me. "I'm sorry, Mama. It came out wrong. This isn't about last night. It's about months of you acting like I'm nothing but an embarrassment to you. Like the work I do, the work that put food in your mouth and clothes on your back and paid for that fancy education, is something shameful. That's not fair," he protests, but weakly. "It's more complicated than that." "Then explain it to me," I challenge. "Help me understand why my son can't acknowledge his own mother." Marcus runs his hands over his face. "You don't get it, Mama. Do you know how hard it is for a black man to be taken seriously in these corporate spaces? I'm already fighting stereotypes every day. If people know my mother is a—" He hesitates. "A what? A maid? A cleaning woman? Say it, Marcus." "Yes," he finally erupts. "If they know my mother cleans the very offices where I'm trying to build a career, they'll never see me as their equal. They'll always see me as the janitor's son who got lucky." The words hang in the air between us, ugly and raw. I feel like I've been slapped. "So that's what I am to you now. Just the janitor. Not the woman who worked 3 jobs to keep you in that gifted program. Not the mother who stayed up helping with your projects even after 16-hour shifts. Just an embarrassment to your new image." His phone buzzes, interrupting us. Marcus glances at it, then stands abruptly. "I have to take this. It's Tamara," he says, moving toward his bedroom. "We can finish talking later." "No," I say firmly. "We finish now." But he's already answering, his voice shifting into a professional cadence as he closes his bedroom door behind him. I sit there, purse clutched in my lap, breathing deeply to keep the tears at bay. This isn't how I raised him. This isn't who I thought he would become. When Marcus emerges 10 minutes later, his face is pale. "That was HR. I need to go in for a meeting with Richard Thompson and the head of human resources in an hour." "What about?" They wouldn't say exactly, but he swallows hard. "It can't be good." I stand, smoothing my skirt. "Then you'd better get dressed." As I head for the door, he calls after me. "Mama, wait. Are we okay?" I turn to look at my only child, this stranger wearing my son's face. "I don't know, Marcus. That depends on whether you figure out who you really are and what actually matters in this life." Outside on the street, I pull out my phone and call Richard Thompson's direct line, a number he gave all community board members for emergencies. "Eleanor," he answers, sounding unsurprised. "I was hoping you'd call." "You know, don't you?" I ask quietly. "About Marcus and me." "Yes," he sighs. "I've suspected since I first interviewed him. You have the same eyes, the same way of tilting your head when you're thinking. Then I noticed how you both avoided each other in the hallways. Last night confirmed it. And you never said anything? I thought it should come from you two when you were ready." His voice softens. "I saw what happened last night, Eleanor. I'm deeply sorry." "Don't be," I say, my voice steady as I walk through the bustling Manhattan streets. Sometimes we need to see the truth clearly before we can fix what's broken. The termination letter sits on my kitchen table, its official Horizon letterhead stark against my faded tablecloth. Marcus left it there last night when he came by, the first time he'd visited my apartment in months. He didn't stay long, just dropped the letter, said, "I got fired," and stood there looking lost until I pulled out a chair for him. The letter cites violation of company values and pattern of disrespectful behavior toward support staff. It mentions 3 documented incidents, the final one being witnessed public disrespect of a longtime valued employee at a company function. No names, no mention that the valued employee was his mother. That was 3 days ago. I haven't heard from Marcus since, and I've been calling in sick to Horizon, unable to face the whispers and stares that surely await me there. On the 4th day, a gentle knock at my door surprises me. It's Darlene, along with Tamika and Loretta from our cleaning crew. "You can't hide forever." "Honey," Darlene says, pushing past me with a casserole dish. "We brought lunch." While Tamika sets the table and Loretta pours sweet tea, Darlene fixes me with a look. "Richard Thompson's been asking about you. Says to take all the time you need, but your job's waiting whenever you're ready." "Everyone knows, don't they?" I ask, sinking into a chair. "That your son got fired for disrespecting his mama?" "Yeah, word travels." Tamika squeezes my shoulder. "But you ain't got nothing to be ashamed of, Eleanor. He's the one disgraced himself." Over lunch, the conversation shifts from sympathy to something unexpected. Tamika mentions she used to manage a small business before her divorce left her starting over. Loretta worked in customer service for 20 years before being laid off in her 50s, and Darlene, quietest of us all, reveals she was an accountant before a health crisis wiped out her savings and certification lapsed. "We all had other lives before we started cleaning," Loretta says thoughtfully. "Other skills, other dreams." I think about the folder I keep hidden in my dresser drawer. Without really planning to, I find myself retrieving it, spreading my old business plan across the kitchen table after we clear the plates. "Dignity Cleaning Services," Darlene reads aloud. "Employee-owned, fair wages, benefits, profit sharing." She whistles low. "This is impressive, Eleanor." "Just an old dream," I say, suddenly self-conscious, from before Marcus was born. I hesitate, then reach deeper into the drawer, pulling out a small envelope I've kept all these years. Inside is my mother Esther's will and bank statements. "My mama left me a small inheritance when she passed," I explain, showing them the papers. "Not much, about $8,000. I put it all in a college fund for Marcus. That, plus working 3 jobs, is how I paid for his education." They're quiet as I continue. "He doesn't even know about this money. Never told him his grandmother left anything. I wanted him to understand the value of hard work, not expect handouts." "Maybe it's time to dust off this dream," Tamika suggests, scanning the yellowed pages with interest. "Lord knows there's enough demand for good cleaning services, and most companies treat their workers like garbage. We've got skills between us," Loretta adds. "I could handle customer service. Darlene knows numbers, Tamika's managed before, and you've got the vision and experience." Something stirs in my chest, a feeling I haven't allowed myself in decades. Possibility. "Y'all serious?" I ask, looking around at these women who've been just co-workers until now. "Dead serious," Darlene says. "What else we got to lose at our age? More years cleaning other people's messes for pennies?" We spend the afternoon reimagining my old business plan, updating figures, discussing logistics. By evening, there's a new energy in the room, a spark I'd forgotten could exist. As they're leaving, Loretta pauses at the door. "What about Marcus?" The question brings me back to reality. My son, who's lost his job because of me. My son, who's ashamed of what I do. "I don't know," I admit. "He's not answering my calls. He'll come around," Darlene assures me. "And when he does, you'll be standing on your own 2 feet, building something of your own, something he'll have to respect." Later that night, I look at Mama Esther's will again. The inheritance I gave to Marcus without him knowing. Maybe it's time I invest in myself for once. Maybe it's time to use what's left of my savings and my mama's spirit to build something that can't be taken away. 18 months later, I unlock the door to Dignity Works' modest office space, a small storefront in Harlem with a single desk, 3 folding chairs, and our logo hand-painted on the window. Our beginning has been anything but smooth. The first 6 months were the hardest. We started with just Mama Esther's remaining inheritance, $2,300 I'd secretly kept back, and our combined savings, barely enough for basic cleaning supplies and business registration fees. We worked out of my apartment, taking turns using my ancient computer to track clients and invoices. Early mornings and late nights became our norm, cleaning houses and small businesses while still working our regular jobs. Many potential clients wouldn't take us seriously. 4 older Black women with no fancy office or website. Just determination and decades of experience. Some asked to speak to the real manager when Loretta made sales calls. Others questioned our rates, expecting discount prices because of who we were and where we came from. They think because we cleaned toilets for years we don't know our worth, Tamika fumed after another rejection. But slowly, through word of mouth and flyers posted in community centers, we built a small client base, mostly elderly folks in the neighborhood, a few small businesses owned by people who knew us from church. The turning point came when Richard Thompson convinced Horizon's diversity initiative to provide us with a small grant of $15,000 for minority-owned businesses. It wasn't much by corporate standards, but for us, it meant legitimacy. A real office space, business cards, a proper website designed by a church member's son in exchange for 6 months of free cleaning for his barbershop. Still, we faced challenges daily. Last month, we lost a contract to a larger company that underbid us by promising the same services for less, knowing they'd squeeze their workers to make up the difference. 2 weeks ago, our used van broke down, forcing us to rely on public transportation between jobs, eating into our already tight schedule. Today, Loretta is training 2 new hires, our first expansion beyond the founding 4. They're both women over 50 who've faced age discrimination in their job searches. We can only offer part-time hours for now, but with the promise of eventual ownership stakes once the business stabilizes. We're building something different here, I explained during their orientation. Not just jobs, but futures. Dignity isn't just our name, it's our purpose. Darlene arrives with coffee and donuts, her face serious as she pulls me aside. Eleanor, we need to talk about the numbers. The bank turned down our loan application again. I sigh. We'd been counting on that small business loan to purchase better equipment and expand our service area. Without it, our growth will stall. What reason this time? Insufficient business history and collateral, she quotes bitterly. Translation, they don't believe in us. The bell over the door jingles, and we turn to see Marcus standing there, looking thinner than I remember, wearing khakis and a simple button-down instead of his usual designer clothes. Mama, he says softly. We haven't spoken in person since 3 months after his firing, when he finally called to tell me he'd found a new job, an entry-level position at a small environmental nonprofit called Green Path Solutions. The pay was less than half what he made at Horizon, and the title several steps down, but it was work. Our conversations since then have been brief, polite, and infrequent. Marcus, I respond, my voice catching. This is a surprise. Loretta glances over, recognizes him from the photo on my desk, and smoothly takes the trainees to the back room, giving us privacy. Your business looks good, he says, gazing around at our modest office. Really professional. We're getting there, I say cautiously. How are you? Managing. He shifts his weight. Actually, that's why I'm here. My company is looking for a new cleaning service for our offices. I recommended Dignity Work. I raise my eyebrows, surprised. You did? He nods. I told my boss everything. About you. About what happened at Horizon. She appreciated my honesty about the potential conflict of interest. For the first time in almost 2 years, I feel a flicker of hope for my son. Perhaps losing everything was exactly what he needed to find himself again. 2 years after Marcus's firing from Horizon, Dignity Work has found its footing, not as the overnight success stories make you believe, but through stubborn persistence against constant obstacles. We now have 12 cleaners, still part-time, and enough clients to keep our modest office open. The rejection and skepticism haven't stopped, but we've learned to expect them and push through anyway. Our biggest victory came 6 months ago when Green Path Solutions signed a formal contract with us, our first corporate client. Marcus's recommendation got us in the door, but we won the contract on our own merits, presenting a detailed proposal emphasizing our eco-friendly practices and worker ownership model. The additional income allowed us to finally purchase reliable equipment and stabilize our schedules. Today, I'm reviewing applications for 3 new positions when my phone rings. It's Richard Thompson. Eleanor, do you have a moment? I'd like to discuss an opportunity. 20 minutes later, I share the news with my partners. Horizon Enterprises wants to contract dignity work for a 3-month trial cleaning their executive floor. A contract that would mean hiring at least 5 more people. This could be our breakthrough, Tamika says, excitement in her voice. If we nail this trial period, they might expand to more floors. But can we handle it? Loretta asks practically. We're already stretched thin with the new GreenPath contract. We'd need to scale up quickly, Darlene agrees, calculator in hand. More equipment, training costs, insurance increases, and there's something else, I add hesitantly. Richard mentioned that Marcus applied for a position in Horizon's Social Impact Division. They're considering him. The room goes quiet. Everyone knows the story of Marcus's firing. How do you feel about that? Tamika asks gently. I take a deep breath. Honestly, I'm nervous, but Richard says Marcus was completely transparent in his application about what happened before. He even submitted a personal essay about the lessons he's learned. People can change, Loretta says. Lord knows we've all had to reinvent ourselves. This wouldn't be a quick decision, I explain. Richard says they're implementing a 2-year probationary period for Marcus. They'd start him with temporary project-based work, evaluate his performance and conduct over time, and only consider permanent employment after proving himself. 2 years is a long time to prove yourself, Darlene observes. That's a serious commitment to change. Later that evening, I meet Marcus at our usual restaurant. He's already there, fidgeting with his napkin, a childhood habit when he's anxious. You heard, he says when I sit down. It's not a question. Richard called me, I confirm. He wanted to make sure I was comfortable with you potentially returning to Horizon. Marcus nods. Eyes on the table. And are you? I study my son's face. The past 2 years have changed him. The designer clothes are gone, replaced by simple, professional attire. The arrogant set of his shoulders has softened, but the biggest change is in his eyes. They meet mine directly now, without shame or evasion. That depends, I say carefully. Why do you want to go back? He considers the question seriously. The Social Impact Division is doing important work, supporting minority-owned businesses, creating workforce development programs in underserved communities. My experience at GreenPath has shown me how business can be a force for good, not just profit. He pauses. And maybe there's some redemption in returning to the place where I made my biggest mistakes, but doing it right this time. I reach across the table and take his hand. Then yes, I'm comfortable with it. But Marcus, it won't be easy. People have long memories. I know, he says. But I'm not looking for easy anymore. He squeezes my hand. I've learned that from you. The waiter brings our usual orders. Oxtail for me, jerk chicken for Marcus. As we eat, he asks about Dignity Works' growth, listening intently as I describe our challenges and victories. The conversation feels different tonight. We're talking as equals, as adults who respect each other's work and journey. After dinner, walking me to the subway, Marcus says, "Did I tell you I moved again?" "No," I reply, surprised. "Where to?" "Back to Harlem. Just a few blocks from you, actually. It's a 5th-floor walk-up, half the size of my old place." He smiles, but it feels more like home. As we reach the station, he adds, "If you get the Horizon contract, and if they hire me, how would you feel about that? Us working in the same building again?" I think about how far we've both come. Me from hiding my dreams in a drawer, him from hiding his mother from his colleagues. I think, I say slowly, that I'd be proud to have my son and my business under the same roof, as long as we both remember who we are and what matters. He nods, understanding the deeper meaning behind my words. Then he does something he hasn't done in years, pulls me into a tight hug right there on the crowded street, not caring who might see. "I love you, Mama," he whispers, and I'm so sorry it took me so long to remember how to show it. 5 years have passed since the night Marcus denied me at the Horizon Gala. 5 years of building Dignity Work, from a dream into a reality, with 35 employee owners and contracts across New York City. 5 years of watching my son grow into a man I'm proud to know. Now a respected senior manager of community partnerships at Horizon Enterprises, known for his genuine commitment to uplifting underserved communities. The journey hasn't been easy or quick. There were times we nearly lost everything, like when 3 clients canceled contracts during an economic downturn, or when our insurance costs tripled unexpectedly. We faced competitors who undercut our prices, banks that refused us loans despite our growing success, and corporate clients who treated us as disposable when budgets tightened. But we persisted. Each challenge made us more determined, more creative. When banks wouldn't finance us, we created a community investment model where supporters could make small loans with modest returns. When competitors undercut us, we doubled down on quality and ethics, building loyalty with clients who shared our values. Today, I stand at a podium in the same hotel ballroom where I once walked away in tears. Behind me sits Richard Thompson, now chairman of the board at Horizon, alongside other business leaders and community advocates. Before me, a crowd of reporters, business owners, and every single member of the Dignity Work Cooperative. It is my honor, I say into the microphone, my voice steady and clear, to announce the launch of the Dignity Business Network, a coalition of worker-owned cooperatives committed to creating ethical employment opportunities for marginalized communities across the city. Cameras flash as I explain how our network will provide support, resources, and shared services to help other worker-owned businesses thrive. From catering to childcare, home health care to handyman services, the Dignity Work model, now recognized nationally for its success, will serve as the template. What began as one woman's dream has become a movement, I continue. Not because I'm special, but because dignity is something every worker deserves, and when we come together, we can create it for ourselves. As I introduce our founding partners and major supporters, I catch Marcus's eye in the front row. He gives me a subtle thumbs up, his face shining with pride. Beside him sits a young woman he's been dating for nearly a year, a community organizer who treats me with genuine respect and enjoys our Sunday dinners together. After the formal announcement, as reporters swarm for interviews and photographs, Richard Thompson approaches, shaking his head in admiration. When you first showed me that business plan on your lunch break, I knew you had something special, he says. But I never imagined it would grow like this. Neither did I admit. Sometimes the longest journeys start with the smallest steps, or the hardest falls, adds Marcus, joining us. He's learned to speak honestly about his past mistakes, using his story to teach other young professionals about privilege and respect. Later that evening, after the media has gone and the celebration winds down, I find myself sitting at a small table with Darlene, Tamika, and Loretta, my partners, my friends, my family of choice. We're all dressed in our finest, a far cry from the cleaning uniforms we wore when we first dreamed this dream together. Remember that first day in your kitchen? Darlene asks, sipping champagne. When we thought getting 5 residential clients would be a big success? We laugh, remembering our humble beginnings, the used vacuum cleaners, the homemade business cards, the nervous pitch to our first corporate client. We've come a long way, Tamika says, her eyes scanning the room where our employee owners chat and celebrate. People of all ages and backgrounds united by their shared ownership in something meaningful. But the best part, Loretta adds softly, is that we've helped others find their dignity too. Marcus approaches our table, champagne glasses in hand for a toast. To the 4 women who taught me what real success looks like, he says, his voice thick with emotion. As we raise our glasses, I think about the woman I was 6 years ago, invisible, diminished, pouring all my dreams into my son while hiding my own. I think about the painful fracturing of our relationship and the slow, honest rebuilding. I think about how sometimes we have to lose what we thought we wanted to find what we truly need. Later, as Marcus walks me to the car he'll drive me home in, he asks, "Are you happy, Mama, with how everything turned out?" I look up at my son, this man who once denied me, who fell hard, who picked himself up and found his way back to his true character. I think about my business, my partners, the lives we're changing, the legacy we're building. Yes, I tell him, squeezing his arm, but not because of what we've achieved, because of who we've become along the way. The city lights shimmer around us as we walk, mother and son, side by side, both standing tall in our truth, both finally comfortable in our skin, both understanding at last that true dignity comes not from what others see in you, but from what you see in yourself. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and share your story in the comments. Your journey might inspire another queen.